All right. I think we got everybody. We'll see if anybody joins us along the way. But thanks for joining us here for the last webinar we have planned for the NAATSO year before convention. So this is our kind of know before you go type segment. We have a PowerPoint prepared, but mostly we'll be opening up to questions if anybody has any. Can be as broad or as specific as you need. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. So let's dive into it. Nick and I are going to try to be in sync here, moving through the slides. So this is what to expect as we're working through this slideshow here. So basically giving you kind of a run through of what to expect from the lodging, the transportation, meals, what's happening at convention, all those things. So let's do it. First of all, start out with the history of NAATSO. So last year was our 10th year, so that makes this year our 11th year of being one of the groups under NACTA. So as you can see, the growth plan has been pretty well the trajectory that we're hoping to continue to climb for. But right now we got 573 members from 137 institutions. So that's the type of growth we want to see. Obviously, we're continuing that upward trajectory. So we're trying to make sure there's a space and a voice for those in ticket sales, ticket operations, ticket services, everything like that. And that's what some of those founding members came up with when they saw there wasn't really that group getting represented on their own. So that's where NAATSO was born from. So thank you for being a part of that. Hopefully you have your hotel by now, but if you haven't, here's some information. I'm not sure what has availability, if anything has availability, Nick, but this is other facts. What we got?
Yeah, we our room block is any rooms that we did have were released, so there should be availability at most hotels, I think, just not at the group rate. And that includes the World Center, but it is pretty pricey.
So there we go. So hopefully you have your plans. Obviously, if you're not at one of these locations, then transportation is a little bit different for you. But overall, this is how much is available in and around the World Center. So NACTA's really done a good job of taking care of accommodating for the large group of people that end up in the World Center and how many people get left out. So we're good with those. This is just that reminder as you're trying to make your plans. Probably one of the last things you think about is how I get from the airport to convention. And that is also what a number of people are also thinking about. So obviously, you have your own means to do that by the normal taxi, Lyft, Uber, rent your own car, get picked up by somebody that's down there, things like that. Or if you're a school that obviously we understand budgets are tight, number of different things. If you want to try to join the community board and just put out there if you're looking to kind of split costs or see who's arriving all around the same time, it's just a good way to try to reduce that cost, whether yeah, you're on your school's budget or you're going on your own dime. So all right, so working through here of just kind of what to expect. So the registration table will be at the World Center down in the convention area. So you'll want to make sure that's one of your first stops as you go through the process. There are the shuttles, like it says in the schedule on there. So that's something just to be aware of as you're making plans for different things. Definitely leave a little bit of time. Shuttles do run pretty frequently and pretty well. But just making sure you have enough time to get in, get down there, find your room, everything like that that you're going to be in. It is a very large space, and just kind of keeping track of where the different rooms are is definitely part of the process. And if you're at one of those outside hotels, there's information there about the shuttle pickup. So another thing just to kind of keep an eye out for when you're checking in or when you're preparing to head over to the World Center, just know where to be and obviously when it's running. This is a map that probably none of you will necessarily need, but this is it. So this convention center, once again, just to hit on how large of a space it is as you're going through different areas, there's different entrances, everything like that. So the main thing is if you come through the front doors of the World Center, you just walk straight back and then to the right to go down the escalators, and that will, or an elevator, and take you down to that entry point. And then you're just going to head towards that main room, and then you'll see all kinds of sign and directional things to try to get you in the right area. And obviously, everybody will have They're lanyards, credentials, things, so you can kind of help see where people from your group or where you're trying to be are headed to. So this just gives you an idea of that layout, and then in the back area there is the area to target where the exhibit hall is going to be. So just kind of give you the scope of what that area looks like.
Yep, and Dan, I'll just mention, so where I'm circling right now, kind of on the left side of the screen, that's where the registration desk will be to pick up your badge. You'll use the main registration desk for hotel check-in if you're staying at the World Center, which is, as Dan mentioned, at the main doors, main entrance. And then for NAATSO, our main general session room is 8B all the way here on the left, so not far from the registration desk. So you'll use this little corridor to get there. And then we have some breakouts in 12 through 14 up here as well. And then, as Dan mentioned, we might have our breakout room with NACMA is going to be down in this Magnolia room down here on the right. And then the exhibit hall and the featured session will be in these Cypress ballrooms down on the right towards the top of the screen as well.
Yeah. And then if you walk in the main entrance, obviously, and you turn left, that's where you find the bar and the pool. So that's outside of those convention actors. Make sure you're going right when you get there, but left is definitely where the fun's at as well. All right. So if you're staying at the World Center, this is just some information to know. One thing again with getting to the hotel is just knowing there are those parking prices and they are fairly steep. So that's something to kind of be aware of when you're coming into that. But check in, check out times, especially when you're planning to leave the hotel, head to the airport or whatever, just kind of know how that all incorporates into your day. And then, as you can see, amenities, there's just all kinds of things going on. It is a huge hotel, a lot happening. We obviously will be a main part of the convention center, but there will be many others there for other reasons. So just be prepared for that. But yeah, they got pretty much everything you could look for, and food delivery works pretty well there as well. Maybe I know that. Maybe I heard from somebody. I don't know. But meeting room etiquette, you're good, Nick.
Dan, no, Dan, I was just going to mention one other thing, and maybe it's in here later. But an added amenity for the convention days, we will have food trucks starting on Monday. And we'll get food vouchers through TFL as well. But those are some added, I guess, restaurant type of options on site as well.
Point. Good point. So this is just we got some feedback from obviously our board, other members, things like that, of just kind of what to expect in the meeting rooms. Just kind of good reminders of things. We'll obviously try to keep everything on time. Make sure your devices are silenced. This is one of those you're only down there for a couple days, so obviously we understand this time of year there's a lot going on work wise. But our recommendation is to queue up your coworkers, just kind of say, hey, I really want to lock in on this. So if you can have my back for these couple days, obviously, if you get a call from AD, boss, number of things, ultimately it's hard to just decline it or do other things. So we totally understand. We just ask that you wait between sessions or just step out of the room to help your day-to-day job. Because yeah, we're not telling you not to do that, but just be aware that it is something that we don't want to distract the rest of the room. Just as we set up, some rooms are larger spaces, some are smaller, but just kind of be cognizant of the space you're taking up, where you're sitting in the room, in the row, everything like that. Another thing to be aware of is that the World Center is quite pricey on the amenities that we can add to the room. So one thing is charging is not like at every seat. It's something that there's obviously different outlets, things like that, but just not something that NAATSO could afford to make the investment in at the price that was required for it. So just be aware of that as you're working through your day, or have portable chargers or things like that, just to make sure you're staying connected where you need to be. Free Wi-Fi will be available, so you're definitely covered on that and getting connected. And then the last thing, which we'll probably touch on throughout the rest of this and the whole convention, is just to make sure you're participating, try to get the most out of it. Discussion is a lot better than these one-way communications like I'm currently doing, but we'll open up soon for questions and stuff to get better at that two-way discussion. Nick queued us up a little bit, but we want you to know that we will be feeding you, so you don't necessarily have to order food or go out or things like that. But for the most part, a lot of the meals are covered in one way or another. So it starts out with that opening night reception. There will be food and drink over there at main event. We'll have breakfast each morning. Then, like Nick said, Monday the focus is around the food trucks. Tuesday there's a all association networking lunch, so you're kind of covered for breakfast and lunch each day. And then yeah, there are hotel, restaurants, number of different options for things. Obviously, you may or may not get invites to other events or get-togethers or things like that. But in the evening, you do have the exhibit hall as well to make sure you go through, and there's food options in there. So it lets out very quickly from the previous session right before it, and everybody kind of heads in there. So just know that, yeah, you have that option available to you. So, yep. All right. Attire wise, I'm not good at telling people how to dress. So these questions I might have to turn over to Megan. But basically, we're just recommending business casual. It's obviously your choice of how you want to dress and how you want to represent yourself in your school and everything. So we're definitely not going to be the fashion police on you. But just know that kind of what we encourage you to do is at least a collared shirt or a polo and then slacks or a skirt or a dress. But yeah, you dress how you want to dress. We're not trying to make you anything but you, so definitely do that. One thing to note is that obviously we're in Florida, so if you're ever outside, you're going to feel the heat. When you're inside, you're definitely going to feel the AC. So don't feel bad about having a coat, sweater, whatever, just to kind of be adaptable to where you are in the different spaces. And make sure you're wearing your badge throughout the process. That's how NACTA staff helps identify that you're supposed to be there. It's how we know who you are, where you're from, and it also just helps with introductions so people can read your name and know a little bit about you without talking to you.
Yep. Dan, I'll just mention to emphasize on that point, we do require that you wear your badge for the offsite event as well at main event. Makes the process a whole lot easier getting you on the buses, and verifying that, like Dan said, you're where you're supposed to be. And then as well with the exhibit hall, the security staff at those doors are looking for badges. So make sure whether it's Monday or Tuesday evening or Tuesday for lunch, make sure you've got your badge handy or on, hopefully on, but if not handy, so that way you have no issues getting in that exhibit hall to get some food and beverage.
Um, Last thing, obviously, this is in the convention room, and if you're gonna do that fun run on Monday, but I think it's fair to say we will judge you on your shoe game. So don't feel like it has to be dress shoes or anything. Feel free to try to bring your best shoes with you and stuff. But once again, whatever you're comfortable with. But I feel like it's always fun to kind of show off what sneakers you got. So that's what we're doing there. But yeah, that's a convention wide fun run as well on Monday. So it's not just something NAATSO related. So big group that always gets together and run, walk, whatever you want to do. That's available to everybody. So consider that. Um, as Nick just kind of pointed out, there will be staff around looking for things, but if you're looking for somebody that's on the NATSO board, there'll be name tags. Oh, let's see. Mine's of course not there when I was looking for it. So there we go, Megan. So something like that will be that name tag that's there, and then NACTA will have staff available in shirts and at the registration table. So you'll kind of get an idea as soon as you register or get your registration stuff of what those shirts look like and everything. So then when you're out and about throughout the convention center or throughout the hotel kind of stuff, you know what you might be looking for while convention's going on. All right, we'll give this one a little extra time in case you want to download it now. But there is a NACTA app where you can kind of look up all kinds of things. It helps you with locations, descriptions. You can look up speakers. There's just, yeah, all kinds of things going on, info for you to know. Also, look back to as well on if you couldn't remember the name of a session or who was the speaker at a session or things like that. That's what's going on in there.
Yep. And as of right now, final details are still being worked on with the app. It is available for download and you can see the sessions in there. Um, like Dan said, a couple of the key highlights I think are you can go in there and favorite sessions. So you can kind of create your own agenda if you want to do that ahead of time. Um, and then One that I enjoy, at least, and telling people when they're lost, if you click on a session, there should be a button that says map it, and then it brings up that map that we showed earlier with the convention center floor plan, and it puts a pin where that session is. So that is very helpful, especially if you're there for the first time, or maybe you're deciding to go to a different session that you weren't expecting to go to. You can find it really easily by clicking on that map it function to find the room that where it's located at.
All right. Next, we're going to dive into basically parts of the convention, what to look for. But does anybody have any questions right now about transportations, hotels, where to go, anything like that? All right. So Sunday evening, we have that reception at main event. So there will be shuttles over there and everything. I guess Megan, this might be your time to step in. Of I guess the
Yeah,
convention center, Porte, whatever is where the meetup point is. Please
I
describe
would
that.
decide to say it a port cochere. Anybody that took French, please correct me. So thanks, Dan. As Dan indicated, our opening reception on Sunday night is off-site. We're going to host it at the main event, which is like a Dave and Buster's. So I'm super competitive. I already showed off my Papa Shot and I've been warming up. I've got another, I think like 7 or 8, 10 days I can actually practice. So anybody that wants in, I'll also be in my Asia Wilsons. Speaking of sneakers, I think Ebony was able to get her hands on a pair. So we're ready. Just saying, bring your A game. Um, Food and drinks are going to be on NAATSO. So when you get there, unlike other events or receptions, if you've been at the past, a lot of times we don't have to do drink tickets. But unfortunately, given this venue and the size, you do need to get drink tickets. You'll be able to get those at check-in, and then we'll be able to refill you throughout the night. So don't drink too much, but if you need additional tickets after check-in, just find somebody and we'll be able to get those for you. The key point to this is that the buses are going to leave from that Port Cochere at the Marriott World Center. So that's going to be near the entrances to the convention center itself. If you're coming from one of the other hotel properties, just make sure you make your way over to the convention center. We're going to have bus captains making sure everybody from NAATSO. So again, please make sure you have your badge on so we know we're getting the right people on the right bus. And we'll get you over to the main event on one of the 2 or 3 buses that we have. It's not rotating. It's not going to be going in a circle. So please make sure you get there at 6:30 and make sure you're communicating to others that you get there at 6:30 because we don't want to leave anybody there. Obviously, if you miss it, hop in an Uber. We'll see you up there. But that's about it for the main event. Pun intended.
We'll circle back with you if I don't know how to pronounce any more words. But so this is just kind of a run through of the agenda. Like Nick said, like it will be in the app. There's also an online version if you just search the agenda. You can also look at other associations' agendas as well and things like that. So, but this is what we have going on. Bigger change this year is we have reduced it from 3 days down to 2 days of content. So really tried to drill it down to what's important in the industry right now, some things to definitely improve upon, some networking, some forced fun may be the right word for it, but ultimately it's trying to benefit that skill for you, and also improving networking can obviously help learn stuff from others around the industry and everything. So we'll start off with the president's welcome with Andrew, and then we'll end that portion of it with the Ticket Team of the Year awards. So hopefully you got your vote in for that during that process. So these are the finalists that we have up for that. So it will be a surprise to everybody in the room. So Nick's the keeper of the votes there. So we'll see what all happens there, but we'll get that kicked off right away. And then we'll move into this networking period. So this is something that still on that last slide, Nick, bounce back. All right, perfect. So the hosted by our group as board members, and then also sponsored by Ticketmaster, we have this kind of Family Feud style type game. I don't know if Family Feud's the right game show to compare it to, but basically just going to get groups together in small groups and obviously compete for the chance to win some prizes, have some fun, things like that. So, variety of topics, sports related, ticketing related. Who knows? Might be some curveballs in there as well. So ultimately, that's something that's going to be kind of our only session for that time period is to help bring our association together and those members. Then we'll get into more of that specific ticketing content. So we have another session where it's beyond the box office. So talking about revenue streams to help in this new era of college athletics. So I'm not going to read the whole description to you, but there's a description on the agenda as well, but sponsored by Learfield Amplify. So just getting the group together to kind of talk about that and present some ideas that have been done, ideas of what might happen, and also get some feedback from other people who might be planning or doing at their schools as well. And then we'll have the different career track breakouts. So wherever you kind of want to land on this, it's entirely up to you. The only thing is the senior level one is invite only. So I believe those invites have gone out already as well. So if you did not receive one of those, then you'd be looking at the entry level or the mid level track. So we'll have those kind of open discussion type things to kind of get the ideas of what people want to know, what they're thinking, obviously how they might want to progress their career and different things like that. So those are always good to, because yeah, it really changes year to year of what that content includes because it's all about the people in the room. Then Tuesday, we'll kick off that morning after breakfast with the keynote sponsored by Pacquiolin. So once again, this is another discussion of, as we know, there's just so much change going on in the industry that they're going to kind of walk through what they've seen, what they've been helping with and doing, and really taking it from there. So that's where they come into play on that keynote. Then later in the day, once again, more options for you. So two of the three. So one's about long-term success in college athletics. The other is trying to make the most out of your staff size that you have. So understand that everybody could probably use 2 or 3 more people to get everything done. But just try to how to streamline, especially with this new area of revenue generation that everybody wants. But if you don't get any more bodies to do it, and it's trying to understand what that would look like. And then also taking the focus onto the Olympic sports of what you can do around those. So that's something we have in partnership with NACMA. So it'll be a little bigger group that's potentially in there for one of those, but you get, yeah, 2 of the 3. So plan that out however you want to plan it out. Or you can just do the same one twice, I guess, if you're really interested in it and want to see how the room changes from discussion to discussion. So entirely your choice. Then we get into one of our general sessions that we're definitely excited about. John Robertson will be joining us and kind of going through basically, yeah, why to stay in the game. So he'll lead us in that discussion. Kind of a different, obviously, way to have the discussion is by somebody outside of our core ticket group and outside voice to come in and obviously try to help motivate, answer questions, explain a number of different ways of just kind of how he's seen everything go on. So we'll definitely take that. And then Teamwork Tickets will be sponsoring our AD panel. So the unique thing this year is that it's all sitting female ADs. So it's something that gives us a great experience on just being in the AD chair, but then also that diversity and inclusion element of also adding in just a path that may or may not be more difficult for some to get to the chair, kind of understanding what their background is, everything going on with that. So that will be another main session for us to include. So this is just a reminder of basically who you're meeting. So there'll be athletic directors all the way down to somebody in an entry level position that's looking to move on or different things like that. So just know you could be talking to a future coworker, future boss, somebody that you'll want to collab with in the future on ideas and different things, or somebody that might work for you one day as well. So just keep an open mind to who you're talking to. Like we said before, we encourage you to talk to anybody and everybody that you can just to get the most out of the experience. And then on the NACTA side of things, they host sessions with speakers. So we have Charlie Baker coming back again. Obviously, he'll have some updates for us. And depending on how candid or uncandid your department is, Charlie definitely shoots the room straight. So obviously, it's not going to be every detail you want to know, but he does. It's a lot more than just speaking whatever from a predetermined script or anything like that. There's definitely further discussion there. John Jacobs is another one, more of that motivational type speech, just a little bit different from the rest of the convention, but those are always, yeah, fun and interesting as well. So that's kind of programming that will lead right into that exhibit hall opening up. So that will get all of the associations together before the night kicks off. Uh, like we just, I mean, we'll keep harping on networking. Once again, your convention, your experience, it's something that we encourage you to come to the events. We definitely want to see you at the reception, at all the different um, speakers and events going on. But ultimately, we also understand it is Monday, Tuesday of a work week and in the middle of June and things like that. But that's where we still come back to kind of shifting your focus onto this is really where you'll get the most out of it. And then just the normal speech. Obviously, at Dayton, I go down by myself, so it's easy for me to say, "Hey, split up from members at your school" and things like that. But it's one thing to just kind of stick with everybody that you work with on a day-to-day basis for comfort. But I think this is really something to learn more about what else is going on. If you guys kind of split up and report back to each other, you kind of get a larger view of the overall experience. But once again, your convention, be comfortable if you really like your coworkers that much. Good for you.
I'm going to jump in on what Dan's saying there. And one of the things that he brought up is that forced family fun, that trivia game that we're going to host. The reason why we've structured that to be one of the first events is because we recognize that a lot of times people like Dan who go, or me, who are going by ourselves are literally by ourselves. And there's also groups that come with a big contingent of people. So we wanted to put the networking activity in towards the beginning. So that way people are encouraged to meet new people, to get to know people right from the beginning instead of waiting until Tuesday afternoon, right before everybody heads home. So on that note, we encourage you to use that first networking opportunity as well as the opening reception to really get out of your comfort zone if you are traveling with people from work and help integrate and bring new people into our industry and into the folds and networking with the people you know. I think looking at some of the faces on this call, I know that I've met a couple of you through other people on this call or not, you know, other people in our organization. So just really want to encourage that getting out of your comfort zone, really networking with people. Make sure you bring your business cards and hand them out and just participate as best you can.
And same thing for the exhibit hall as well. Obviously, there'll be a large group of vendors in there ready to talk. We understand that not everybody in our group may be a decision maker or in a position to potentially buy what they're selling, but at the same time, they're just looking for a conversation, learn more about you and your school, and things like that. And several of them have little things they're giving away, different contests, number of different things. So definitely does not hurt to stop by and talk to anybody, whether you know who they are or you work with their competitor, or a number of different things. Like that's really just an informational thing and also some eye-opening stuff that you could bring back to your school to try to understand how it might be able to fit. So,
And then I'll just hit on that last bullet point that's on the screen right now is not that we're encouraging you to miss on NAATSO sessions, but all educational sessions are open to all attendees. So if you have overlap in marketing or development or anywhere, feel free to check out those agendas and attend those sessions, as those are open to any attendee that has a badge. So you are able to go to any session, educational, unless it does say invite only, or like some of our things with food and beverage say NAATSO registrants only. Other than that, though, you can attend sessions as you please.
A good plug because we don't have anything Wednesday. You can go to a lot of other sessions on Wednesday. So don't miss ours.
um, really to wrap up here, this is once again just some things to think of, obviously, before you go, while you're there, after convention, everything like that. Just the couple of quick highlights here, I guess, are obviously to do your research up front on where you're trying to go and what sessions you're trying to see and everything like that. Obviously, there's a little bit of time between sessions, but depending on who they're with and where they are, they could be on different sides of the convention center or things like that. So being prepared for that is always helpful. We haven't touched on it yet, but there will be a drink station on Monday. So all of our guests of NAATSO exclusively will be able to stop by during the day and grab water, soda, things like that. That's only on Monday, so sometimes it throws people off when they see it Monday and then they expect it on Tuesday. So just kind of know that. And then also there's Starbucks in the main lobby and then down in the convention center. The line is fairly ridiculous in the morning. But off because everybody's ordering ahead or getting in line or things like that. So especially when you're getting ready to start your day, just be aware that if you want to swing by Starbucks, just kind of expect that line to be a little slower.
And with the food trucks, there will be one or two breakfast slash coffee food trucks as well out there. So don't forget about that when you're looking for options either in the morning or throughout the day.
Cool. Well, that pretty much wraps up this portion of it. So big shout out to obviously all our sponsors. If you see anybody from those groups, we'll always appreciate you saying thank you or talking to them and learning a little bit more about what they do. But that's the group that will all be down there. So anything that we covered or did not cover that anybody on this call has a question about, feel free to throw that out now. We'll also be sending out this webinar and the PowerPoint and things like that for you to circle back to. But yeah, just wanted to open it up to anybody that might have a question about convention coming up here.
While people are thinking about questions, I will just mention I dropped a link in the chat for folks to fill out cell phone numbers as we may use a texting service on site. So if you can just do that, that would be helpful to make sure that we're not texting landlines or office numbers. And then, um, oh shoot, I had one more thing, but now it's slipping my mind. Oh, we're gonna send next week. We're gonna send a an attendee packet type of email. So you will get a list of attendees who will be at convention if you want to plan to connect or reach out ahead of time. So you will be getting that along with some other information early next week.
Sounds good. Well, if no questions, we'll see everybody at 6:15-ish on Sunday at the whatever thing. Whatever that name is called.
Oh.
The main entrance of the convention center. But yeah, if you want to use the fancy word, it's in the PowerPoint to circle back to. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you down there. And yeah.
Safe travels, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.